Me 35 male with my girlfriend 28 female for 3 months. Slept with my best friend also 35 male. On Thursday night, we went out to a local bar and got very intoxicated there. After we returned from the casino, they in the ladies' room. She returned to me the next day sobbing and said she had confessed to everything, according to her account. Despite several attempts, my buddy has refused to acknowledge anything, and I have not seen or heard from him since. From the beginning, we both agreed that no matter what we did, we would always be honest and give the other person the option of staying or quitting the relationship. Without her my best friend in the toilet while I was there, I wouldn't have bothered to disturb her. She continues to tell me how screwed up we all were, and she expresses a desire to stay with me in order to straighten everything out. I appreciate her candor and am hoping that we will be able to come to a mutually beneficial arrangement. So, here's the situation. Since then, I haven't been physically able to have intercourse with her due to my physical limitations. Even though I really want to kiss her every time she begins to initiate, all I can think of is her getting nailed in a casino toilet at the moment. This is a problem that I had no idea would occur when I decided to stay with her, and I'm concerned it will not go away on its own. This has already happened twice, and it is undeniably a significant problem. By the way, our life had been absolutely amazing up until this moment. I discovered an ex-girlfriend cheating earlier in the week, and I hadn't had this problem in previous years. This time though, my current girlfriend came clean and confessed to me. I was aware of how intoxicated we were all, but this time it hurt more. Has anybody else experienced anything similar, and what was the outcome? Can I say that my marriage is over, despite the fact that both of us desire to work things out in the future? At times, it seems as like I'm clinging to her because I thought I loved her, yet here I am at 4 a.m. begging for assistance on Reddit. It goes without saying that no one knows what I need or want to do better than I do, but I am open to hearing any recommendations. Greetings and thank you for taking the time to read this. Please take my advice as it is given in advance. Story 2. My long-term boyfriend cheated on me, and it pushed me to become a better version of myself, a sort of positive story. So here's a little history. As a child, I met my now ex-boyfriend, let's call him Brody. We had been great friends since we were kids. I'd known him since I was 7, and we began dating when I was 12. I know, grown at the thought of a child-parent connection. We were both rather advanced for our ages. He as a result of growing up with toxic parents, and I as a result of from the ages of 6 to 12, parents divorcing, developing mental health issues, mental abuse from my grandmother, whom I lived with because my mother was out working to support me and my stepfather didn't do much, brainwashing from her, and my rapist, who is my uncle, who threatened to kill my mother if I told anyone anything. Now that I think about it, my ex has always been poisonous. Always making fun of how I look, how I'm introverted and don't say much among his buddies. Being manipulative and psychologically abusive. I was dealing with a number of small cases of infertility that I wanted to get rid of. I never told people how he was doing since I assumed that was normal. I was never unfaithful to him, but the confidence I had in him was definitely destroyed long before the D-Day, but I was the one going to counseling every week, trying to find out what was wrong with me, that he couldn't be happy with just me. Why couldn't I have faith in him like I used to? Trying to mend us while emotionally withdrawing from me. He insisted that it was my lack of trust that was destroying the relationship, despite the fact that he is the one who struggles with not emotionally cheating on me. So far, that's all there was to it. Emotional deception. I'm not going to lie, there were times when I was as poisonous to him as he was to me. I'd lash out and beg him to go if he couldn't be faithful, but he didn't. Apart from that, I was suffering from depression, anxiety, PTSD, suicidal thoughts, and repeated suicide attempts, and he was always telling me that my mental health difficulties were too much for him. He did, however, ask me to marry him, and I said yes. Getting married at a young age is fairly common in our nation. On the big day, I got a video of him banging a female, let's call her Sarah, I'd had a nasty feeling about for a year. He constantly told me she was nothing more than a friend, and that I was insane. He was the one who recorded the video. We broke up, and I was visibly devastated. My ex said that I never understood, but this girl did. I'd been pleading with him for months to accompany me to therapy. I begged him to make things right. I begged him to put up some effort. When he hurled his phone at my head because I told him I was worried about Sarah and his relationship, I should have broken up with him a long time ago. Brody evidently began dating Sarah right away after our separation, while I was picking up the pieces of my heart. I reverted to my previous self-harming habits. I was wondering why I was never enough. I cried for weeks. I was receiving calls from blocked numbers, strangers telling me how Sarah was so much better than me, that was my fault, and I was asking for secrets I had only shared in Brody. My closest companion, my associate. He's my fiancé. Oh, and all of our common acquaintances were aware of it and sided with him. My mother was also upset because she regarded him as her son, and I never informed her or anybody else about his actual nature because I wanted to protect him. After about 2 weeks, I thought it was time to call it quits. I went to the gym despite the fact that it pained to breathe. I went to counseling on a regular basis. I met new people. I spent a lot more time with my family. I reconnected with old pals with whom I had lost touch because of Brody's dislike for them. I concentrated on work, since I had opted to take a gap year because I was still too emotionally fragile for the stress of school. I was making as much money as my parents, which is a great accomplishment in my country at the age of 19. I have a few here and there because I like and it helps me feel better about myself. I was starting to feel better and rediscover myself. I ultimately met a man, let's call him Randall, who taught me what it's like to be in love. What both sides' devotion can achieve. What communication is capable of. And I finally realized that what I was going through with Brody was not normal. We finally split up because of family disagreements, and since arranged weddings are still common in our country, and his family believes that he must marry someone from his caste or risk losing his family. Yes, he had revealed all of this early in the relationship. I didn't want him to lose his family because of the predicament he was in during the epidemic, so I let him leave. It was painful, but I now understand what love is like, what it's like to be desired. And I understand what abuse is and when to leave. At the conclusion of my second relationship, I realized I had spent my whole life seeking male acceptance and chose to remain alone for a bit. Learn to be content with only yourself. I stopped my full-time job to concentrate on education and now have a really high GPA. I absolutely adore myself and do not need a guy to complete me. I'm content. Even if the trauma resurfaces from time to time, I know that if I can get through the suffering that was inflicted upon me, I can get through anything. I now have solid friendships and a stronger relationship with my family. So here's to Brody, the man who shattered me from the inside out. Thank you to everyone who made my life terrible for 7 years and brainwashed me into believing abuse was usual. What you did was not acceptable, yet I am grateful because I am now free. Coming out better than you have ever been is the finest kind of retaliation. Thank you for the awards, encouragement, and upvotes. You have no clue how important this is to me.